Now we want to complete the last part of part E of module 4, a Java Bean example. Yeah. So here, the reason I really want to talk about this example, after we learned all the details about Java Bean, we need to see a concrete example. Yeah. How to use those features in a real example. So that's the first thing, to understand the Java Bean better. But the second, I will give you project number 2 soon. In that one, we need to practice some of the features in this example. Yeah. And regarding the projects, I feel many of you may feel very hard. So I plan to create many videos, sequence of videos for both project 1, project 2. Every step I explain how to do it, and also provide you sample projects, how to use sample projects. So I hope with those videos that it will not be very hard. You just go through, try to understand, not very hard to understand, try to follow, then you can do it. Yeah. All right, so that's the plan. All right, so here, to explain that example, all right, to explain that example, I give a tutorial. So I give a complete tutorial and a source code. Yeah. So I will upload a zip file, so then you can study. Yeah. Here, I want to explain the main technical part in the tutorial. So then after you get that, it will be much easier to understand. Yeah. All right. So here, look at the title of this part, part E.2, we call it design pattern. DAO, design pattern. So here I want to say a few words before we look at that example. So then in that example, then I will explain a little more about this. First, I want to talk about this design pattern concept. So what's that design pattern concept? So this is an important concept in software development. In software development. So this concept is very important. So what's that? In software development, people use many different ways, right? Yeah, in general. So a lot of special ways to do different things. Yeah. And some of the methods, very effective. Yeah. So if you use them, you can get very good results. There are many things like that. So then people call those things design pattern. You do not have to follow design pattern. Nobody forces you to follow those patterns. Right? But if you adopt some of the patterns, then you can enjoy the good results. More efficiency from those patterns. Yeah. All right. So that's the general idea, general concept. Yeah. So usually you will learn many different design patterns. Yeah. So all based on experience. Yeah. So those patterns can bring you many good results. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Here, in this example, we use one special design pattern. DAO, what's that? Data access object. Data access object design pattern. So what's that? Data access object. You can see related to database, because you want to access database. To access database, there are many different ways to access, right? Many different ways. All right, so here there is one special way to access. So this design pattern using a special type of object called a data access object. So what's that? So that object, so you can imagine in Java, that object, so that's you create a Java class. You create a special Java class. This Java class is used mainly to access database. Access database. So the main goal of this Java class, do database queries. Okay, all right, so here, so more specifically, one class corresponds to one table in database. Yeah, because you have one Java class. What do you do in this class, right? What do you do in this class? Yeah. So there are many different ways, but based on most people's experience, the best way is in one Java class, you only do queries for one table. Okay? Yeah. So all the queries for just one table. Okay? Yeah. Do not do queries for multiple tables in general. Okay? Yeah, in general, not absolute. Yeah. Because sometimes some queries you may need to use multiple tables. But in general, so this class, mainly, you only do queries for one particular table. Yeah. So why is that? So the benefit, you will see the benefit of many benefits. Yeah. The first benefit is efficiency. The most important benefit, efficiency. Why this way is more efficient? Yeah. So think about this way. Yeah. All right. In a web application, Java web application, if we need to access some table in a database, in many different files, we may need to access the same table, right? Yeah. Some of the queries we may need to use in many different files, right? Yeah. All right. If you do not use this special DAO, if you just write, whenever you need to use queries, you just write those queries in those files, okay? Could be JSP files, could be servlets, could be in Java beans, many different places. You may need to do the same queries in many different files. So that means you need to copy the same code in all those different files. That's not efficient, right? Now later, if you want to modify some part of the code, you need to, go through all those different files. You may miss some of them, right? So that's really not efficient. Now this way, yeah, you only have one class. Yeah. So this class is responsible for all the queries for that particular table. Yeah. So when you need to modify anything, you only need to do modification in one class. Very efficient. Right? All other Java files that use these queries, they get updated immediately. So you do not need to change code in all those files. Yeah. So only one place. Yeah. So that's the efficiency. Yeah. Yeah. Second, there is another, topic related to performance. Performance issue. Because when you use database objects, some ways are not very efficient. Some ways are more efficient. There is that kind of issue. Yeah. Here, we do database access object. Here, you will see this way will be better than the way we do it in the servlet. So here, let me just say a few words about access database. There are three different ways. First way, in servlet. Yeah. Specifically in that RNIT method. Yeah. Second way, in Java Bean. The way we are doing here, later we will see this way is better than the first way. Better, okay? Then there is a third way, the best way. Yeah. Connection pooling, a special technology called connection pooling. So this special technology, because I really want to cover it, but for the time we have left, we do not have that much time left. Yeah. So, but I may like to record some video for your self-study. Yeah, not covered for the final. So for the final, we cannot cover this topic, but I record a video talking about this method. Okay. Yeah. After this semester, if you are interested in this topic, so you can study this video. Yeah. Number 3. Yeah. All right, so now let us look at the example. I want to explain the example a little bit. Yeah. I just want to explain the DAO part. Okay? Yeah. All right. Yeah, so here, first let me bring up the tutorial. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so this is a tutorial, okay? Yeah, so I will post it. Yeah, so this tutorial, so you can study. Yeah, also I include, the source code, everything in this zip file. So after you download, you get this tutorial plus the source code, so you can run by yourself. All right. Here, the Java Bean basics we already covered in our lectures, so we can skip. Okay? Then I talk about how to run it in Eclipse. So you follow the steps here. Yeah. I also include a database script. So you need to install this database before you run this example. All right. So then you see the screen, very simple interface. You just enter some user's information, click the button, you see the result. That simple. Okay. Yeah. All right. But in this example, there are something we like to learn. Yeah. All right. So first, the Java Bean carry the data. Yeah. This is very simple. Yeah. We use it in our project 1. Remember project 1, we use 2 Java Beans, right? Carry the data. Yeah. Here, the first Java Bean gets the bean. This is a data structure Java bean, just to carry the data. Yeah. So we do not need to look at this one. But the second Java bean is the new part for this lecture. Yeah. DAO, Data Access Object, called a guest data bean. So it will be used to do the database queries. Yeah. All right. So here you can see. Yeah. So that's the whole source code. Okay. Yeah. Relatively long, right? So relatively long. So I have explanations down, yeah, a little bit, but I like to explain something here, yeah, because after my explanation, you can understand much better, yeah, than just to read a tutorial by yourself. All right, yeah. So let me use, here, I cut this DAO Java bean in 2 images. Yeah, so then I can, do annotation on it. Yeah. All right. So this is our DAO. All right. So Java bean, yeah, object. Yeah. All right. So this one, the first thing I like to talk about is database connection. Connection. Right? Yeah. We use the standard JDBC database connection. So you can see, load the drivers class, so the connection URL, then the queries. All right. So very simple. So we're familiar with these things. Yeah. And here, 3 question mark, 3 unknown parameters. Yeah. Later, we will get the values of these 3 parameters from the user's input. Yeah. All right. So these things. But I like to talk about the performance issue. Remember, in the previous slide, we talk about performance, database performance issue, right? All right. Here, look at where do we do the database, create a database connection object in the constructor. So this is the constructor, right? Constructor, yeah. All right, Java bean constructor. Then we compare in the old way, servlet way, in its RNIT method, that old way, yeah. If you create a database object in this method, you only have one chance. Because this method is called only once in the life cycle of a servlet. Now, so that means after you created that object, you cannot shut down. You cannot close it. If you close it, you never have a second chance to use it. But if you open it all the time, you occupy a lot of memory resource. So that's not efficient. So you always use the memory resource. So that's not efficient. You don't want to do that, right? Yeah. All right. But here, this way, the second way, much better than the first way. The second way is we create new connection object in the constructor. After we finish using this object, we can destroy it, right? Yeah, you can destroy the object. After you destroy the object, all the memory resource used or released. Okay? Yeah, so it will not use memory resource anymore. Yeah, so you can release a lot of memory resource. So it will be more efficient. So the next time when another user wants to use a database connection object, then call this constructor again. Yeah, just call construct another time. So then a new connection object will be created. So you can see you have chance, open, close, right? Yeah. When you need it, you open and use it. When you do not need it, you close, release, resource. Yeah. So you can see this way is much, much better. Yeah. All right. But this is the second best. So there is the third way, much more efficient than this one. Yeah. But that one we will, leave to the connection pooling topic. Yeah. Here we don't talk about that. Yeah. All right. So this is the database connection efficiency part. Okay. All right. So that's the first topic. Second, so this one, then we talk about database query. Yeah. Here, there are two methods. The first, get guest list method. So we list all the guest information from the database. Yeah. So that's the first one. Second, add a new guest information into the guestbook database. Yeah. So yeah, the way we do, so nothing new here, right? So nothing new here. Yeah. But here I like to explain another concept. So I don't know if you know it or not. Yeah. Even some of you may heard of it, but I think most of you may not know this concept well. So I need to explain here another time, a little more with a little more details. So here is this. Do you see this? A list of Java guest bin, Java bin. Yeah. Here, if you look at the sample, here, I remember I used this thing already in my project 1 sample BC. Yeah, I didn't use sample B and C. Yeah. In these two sample projects, I use this. Yeah. So I don't know if you understand the meaning of it or not. So if you do not quite understand, here, let me explain it. Yeah. This we call Java generics. This technology, Java generics technology. Okay. All right, so why we use it? Java generics technology. Yeah. Here, let me explain it. Yeah. All right, so yeah, I need a little more space. So let me go to my PowerPoint slides. All right, yeah. So I need a different color. All right. Here, I want to explain this topic, Java generics technology, right? Yeah. First, this technology was created in Java version 5, 1.5. Yeah. So now the version is, current version 1. I saw 1.13, sometimes, yeah. Anyway, yeah, more than 10, more than 10 something, yeah. All right, 1.5, yeah. And what's that? Yeah. So let me write that first, okay, yeah. Let me write the syntax guest bin. Some Java bin name, yeah, any Java bin name we can use. You can see we use arrow bracket, so very special, arrow bracket, yeah. All right, so that's the type we declare. Then reference name. Let me call it guest list. How about that? Yeah. Then equals new constructor. Okay, constructor, we use array list, arrow bracket, guest being parenthesis. All right, yeah. So that line, okay, the whole line. So we declare this object. Now let me explain several parts. Yeah. First, what is this list? List we call the in Java collection object. Collection object. Yeah. This kind of object, you can get a collection of special objects. Yeah. Also, sometimes people also call container. Container object, yeah, because you can put things inside. Yeah, a lot of things inside container. Yeah, but but most of the time we like to use the collection object. Yeah. All right. So then, why here? Another thing. Why we use array list here? Right? When we call constructor, why we use array list here? Yeah. The reason is very simple. Yeah. This list is an interface. It is not a class. It is an interface. Okay? Yeah. We know interface, there is no constructor from an interface. Right? So in order to construct the object of this interface type, we have to use a concrete class. Concrete class that implements this interface. So this array list is a concrete class that implements this list interface. So that's the first thing. Okay. All right. Second, why we use arrow bracket here? Guess being arrow bracket around it. Now, so that story is, pretty long, yeah, but I need to explain. Yeah. All right. So before Java version 5, when people use this list, they do not use this arrow bracket way. They just use list. Okay. So then the remaining thing, the same, similar. Okay. Yeah. List equals new array list. Okay, no arrow bracket. Yeah, just that's the old way. Okay, so this is the old way. Old way. Okay, all right. Before version 5. Yeah. So then, what's the problem? Okay, after you do that, yeah. It's a container, right? So it's a collection. You can place object one by one into this collection object. The question is, what kind of object you can place into it? Okay? What object type you can place into it? Yeah. Any Java capital object you can place into it. Any object type you place it, it is valid. It is valid. Okay? Yep. All right. So that means you can even put different object types in a list collection object. Different object types. Okay? So various object types. Now the problem comes out. Right? When you retrieve an object from this list, you need to do casting. Because if you just do not do casting, you will get this object type. object type, you cannot do your business, right? The object type, it does not allow you to call the business methods. So you have to do casting to your business object, to your, subclass, particular business object. Then you can do your business. All right, but when you do casting, you have nightmare. What is the appropriate object you need to know? You get confused, right? You have to go back to look at, so when you put it in, what is that object type? So you need to keep track of it. But when you write a code, that's a long time ago, right? Yeah. So when you put there, someone put there, that's a long time ago. How can you get the original location? It is very difficult. If by accident you couldn't do the right casting, you will get a runtime error. Runtime error. Okay? Runtime error. Why? Because the compiler cannot detect it. The compiler, even you do a wrong casting, the compiler does not know if it's a right or wrong, right? Yeah. So there is no compiling error, but when you run it at the runtime, you get error. You make a wrong casting operation. You need to fix it. We know for runtime error, it is very hard to fix. Yeah. You need to find a location. Yeah. Then you need to figure out, so what is the error? Yeah. So very hard to fix. Yeah. But for compiler error, it is much easier to fix. Compiler error. Because your compiler will complain. So you see the error, the line, red line immediately. So you get a warning. So before you run it, you need to fix it. Otherwise, you cannot run it. Yeah. So compiler error let you know the error immediately. So you need to fix it. Yeah. All right. So now the idea. So the Java generics created using this arrow bracket force you can only place this type of object in this list. You cannot use different type. If you use a different type, compiler will complain, right? So the compiler will force you to place all objects of this type into this list. All right. So then when you retrieve them, you don't need to do casting because you are only, when you retrieve, so those object type will convert it to this type automatically. So you don't do the casting, you just use as this guest bin, your business class, and do your business. Okay, so that's simple, right? Yeah. So you can see, basically, let me summarize the idea. The Java generics, basically, it converts runtime error to compile error. Then for our programmers, it make our life easier. Yeah. So we don't need to try to fix the runtime error. We can avoid the complexity caused by so many different types of objects in same collection object. Yeah. And we use the way in a safe way. Yeah. So, all right. So this is the Java generics topic. Yeah. Yeah. After you understand this topic, then later, because we will use this Java generics many places. It is very common. So you will see everywhere Java generics. Okay. So here you have a chance to understand this topic. All right. So let me finish this video. Yeah. So the next video I will talk about the JSP part. using these Java beans. Yeah. All right.